Good afternoon. How are you today? Well, today I was at a CLE, continuing legal education, which you try to learn something. So that's why I'm getting out now. The course was about basically hemp, oil, and marijuana. And I have one bit of advice for you. Even with the new, quote, liberal, we would hope, Justice Department, don't mess with pot. The states and the federal government are still at each other's throats, and it's moving slowly, and there are some places where it's working. I suppose Massachusetts and maybe Maine and Colorado, California, Nevada. If you're not in one of these primary places, don't mess with pot. I mean, not because of the medical thing. I'm not giving advice on that. And I'm not really giving criminal advice or defense advice. But you got to be very careful, because America is a huge hypocrisy when it comes to what people may eat, drink, or do. So keep that in mind. We had a pivot today, which I think is good news. We had the chief of staff, former chief of staff for Trump, Meadows, who had been subpoenaed and basically agreed with what seemed to be the answer that Trump preferred: pound sand. I'm not going to come. I'm not going to give you documents. I'm not going to testify. Well, Meadows has changed his mind, and he is both going to appear and he is going to produce documents. So I say this is a pivot because I think the combination of the district court saying there is no privilege that allows you to withhold these documents from the Select Committee on January 6th's insurrection. And then we have the image of Bannon on the wrong end of a criminal charge, however that comes out. And most people don't want to get into that. And so Trump's persuasive ability may be whining somewhat, both senses of the word. So here we have a movement in the right direction. We also have Trump, unreconstructed, seeking to have the Court of Appeals overturn the lower court decision, basically saying that this privilege doesn't apply. And I think it will be upheld that the privilege doesn't apply to a former president when the current president says no, and when the subject matter is about basically overthrowing the government, which is in violation of your oath of office. And on top of it, certainly in the Bannon case and others, there was no executive privilege for what was going on at the time. I mean, Bannon wasn't in the White House. He was long gone when the subject of running up to and the day of January 6th, the insurrection. So my prediction, as bad as we've had decisions from the courts, I think this is going to be a good one. Now, are we on the train to reckoning? I don't know, but I hear the engine chugging a little bit, and that's nice. Those who are concerned about Omicron, the Greek letter, which signifies another version of the virus, and everybody's wondering what's going to happen. Well, in 10 days we'll know, because what will happen is people will get it and they'll be responding to either the new infection, or they'll be protected by the vaccinations they took and the boosters that they had. So we're going to find out about it, and then we'll have to deal with it. In the meantime, those of us, all of us who are on this walk and talk, we know to keep distance, to wear a mask, to get vaxxed, and to get double bumped with the buffer, the booster shot. So there we have that. In the category of gruesome, we have Ghislaine Maxwell on trial for basically grooming minor children for the predatory practices of the suicidal Epstein, who may or may not have been suicidal, but anyhow, he's dead. Some say, her defense says, she's a scapegoat for what he did, but he couldn't do what he did but for her grooming these people and collecting them and making them available. And today, part of the testimony was the pilot that they always use, Vysotsky, I think his name is. He was confirming that they were always going places that she would set up and he would go there. I posted the indictment, which is a pretty terrible story about what she was doing and why she was doing it. And there are, according to the indictment, 4 girls who were minors at the time of the offense, and I would guess they're going to be testifying witnesses at the trial. When you have children testify, and these are not children any longer, but when you have children testify, there are always questions about their credibility and memory and were they subjected to suggestion and so forth. And I'm sure that'll be part of the defense. Of course, if that fails, they're going to wish they did some plea bargaining, I suppose. In the category of criminal charges, I'm interested to see that the DA in Pennsylvania has asked the Supreme Court to overthrow the decision throwing out the conviction of Cosby. Now, it was thrown out based on due process, which I always explain to people as just another way to say fundamental fairness. And it's not that you know it when you see it, because we have a whole history of what is fair. Notice, hearing, if we give assurances and things like that, are we held to them? And this last category, which I just conveniently mentioned, which is assurances. Well, the DA told him that he wouldn't prosecute him, and that's what the DA wants to challenge, because the court said the prosecutor said he wouldn't prosecute him, and so he, that is Cosby, then did testify at a deposition, and he testified truthfully, and then basically they used that testimony against him for the purposes of the prosecution, or informed them to go forward with the prosecution. So that's what's going on today. It's an invigorating day because I'm out late, the sun is low, and I feel like I'm in a Tuscan movie with the kind of yellow sunlight that happens. You can see my face is blazoned out by the sunlight, and it's kind of a special day. So I don't know how many warm days we'll have. We've been gathering pumpkins for our pigs, and a whole bunch of people want to come by at 1 o'clock on Saturday and bring pumpkins. And last report, there'd be like 500 pumpkins. And you wonder if 24 pigs can eat those? Don't worry, they can. So have a good evening. I'll talk to you tomorrow. We'll see what's up then. Bye-bye.